instead of fighting with this like some kind of moron.
Hey everybody, it's Joe. Welcome to the channel. Hope you had a nice Thanksgiving. I know I did. So this is part 2 of the oil filter housing oil cooler replacement video. Part 1, and I'll throw the link up there. Part 1 is the diagnosis of all the oil that was on my driveway. Part 2 is the replacement of this little fine part that the manufacturer decided it would be a great idea to make out of plastic. So the replacement part that I got is solid aluminum. So I'm hoping that will last a lot longer. I'm assuming it will. And I'll show you what that looks like later. But this is going to be a video to show you guys how to replace this. Priced it out, did some research, read a lot of stuff on the forums. And anywhere from like $1,000 to $1,200 to replace this part. This part on Amazon, and I'll throw it in my Amazon store, was $99. I think there's a different one between 07 and 16 and then 17 and 18. This is a 2017 JKU Wrangler. So I got the one for that vehicle. So let's get to getting. It has a lot of bolts. The parts, pretty easy. One part that you're replacing. And there's the upper intake manifold, lower intake manifold, and then the actual oil filter housing, oil cooler that you're taking off. It's not a lot of parts. It takes a little bit to get to, but you'll see through this video, there's not a lot to it. And if you have the time and the patience and an 8mm, a 10mm socket, a couple Torx bits, and an E8 inverted Torx, you can save yourself a lot of money. So I'm hoping this video will help you decide whether or not you want to tackle this job yourself or send it to a professional. But I got a garage, I got the time, and I got a couple Torx bits, and I got an 8mm and a 10mm. So I'm going to give it a shot myself. This JKU barely fits in my garage. You guys have seen from my other videos that the Chief fits in here pretty nice. This thing barely fits in. So we're pretty tight, but the engine bay area, I can work around, plenty of room. So let's get this cover off the vehicle. Let's get this started. All right, let's get to work. All right, so we'll just take the cover off here. Trying to bake those little plastic knobs. And the first thing we'll do is take this tube off. So there's a bolt here, a couple bolts here, and then take the tube off. Looks like it's a mix between 8 and 10mm. That should be that. Okay. Carefully pull this off. Don't forget, remember from the last video, there's a sensor plug right under here, so we'll just need to carefully pull that off. This thing is still so weird to look at. There you go. Just one little wire. It just connects right there. So we'll set this bad boy aside. Look at that thing. Be careful. Oh, I should probably get some pliers. Yeah, boy, that feels kind of brittle. Let's see if I can get a screwdriver. Let's try this one first. Oh, I just don't want to break them. Oh, there's a plug. All right, let's have some success with that. Now, I'm not taking like blue tape and marking everything. Once you lay the wiring harness down, the wires have a memory, so it's going to pretty much be very evident where these wires go. So I'm not sweating that too much. All right, let's see if I can get these puppies off. There you go. Just do not want to break these. Try to save myself some money and end up having to buy a freaking intake manifold. That's the way my luck is. 2 steps forward, 30 steps behind, especially with Jeeps. You guys all know that. There you go. Okay, I think there's Oh, axle vent tube. Yep, sorry. Did that mess you up? No, we're good. Okay, next up are these 10mm bolts that are on the driver's side of the upper manifold. There's 2 in the front, and I'll show you there's 2 in the back. So we'll go ahead and take them off. 10mm. Pretty decent amount of room to work. Okay, now we'll go get these back ones. Might be easier with the 10mm open-ended wrench. Maybe I'll piece of cake. Save those for later. Couldn't find my panel puller, so we'll just use good old pliers. I already got the one side off. This will probably tear it, but that's okay, I guess. There we go. It's coming. Hopefully my big shoulder isn't, there you go. All right, getting in the way. Nothing big, little Christmas trees. Set that aside. And next what we'll do is start taking the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There'll be a couple others. But once you get in there, it'll be pretty self-evident. Oh, and there's some on the side too, and those are 8mm. So let's get that rolling. Yep, so you can't lose them. How great is that? Yep, perfect. These you don't take off. They're just for mounting the bracket that holds the cover. All right, so let me get you up to speed. I believe I have all the bolts loosened. These were all 8mm. When I take them off, I'll kind of show you the layout, but a couple on top, a couple on the sides, and there's one sneaky guy back there that you'll see. So we're about ready to, you can see the manifold's loose, and it's going to take a little bit of gyrations to get it out, but we're pretty good. We can get it out. Let's unplug the throttle body. Okay, so between the removing the wire loom from the brackets, removing all the tubes, I also removed, there's 2 bolts here and 2 bolts on the coil, like the coil pack area here. That will allow you to kind of tilt it this way and then out. Remember before we removed 2 bolts in the back, 2 bolts in the front, so we kind of have to tilt it out. So I'll fight with this a little bit. Obviously I'm not going to show you the whole video, but kind of the beginning and kind of the end. I think the key to success was removing the actual bolts. I think 1 or 2 of them were kind of like tucked down, and I think that was holding me up. So, oh, and the other thing too is this wire here had like a little plastic Christmas tree that was holding onto the back of the manifold. Pardon me. Jeez. All right, I think that's a better angle. I think you'll be able to see a little bit more. Plus you can see what I'm struggling with here. It's this little bracket right here, and this wire, it's so like tight, there's not a lot of room to move around. Trying to move some wires around and all that stuff, but again, you're saving yourself $1,000, so you're gonna have to fight a little bit. Can't be completely easy, right? It's so close. It's like so close. My gosh. There we go. Almost might be easier to take the damn throttle body off. Yeah, I might do that. Let's take the throttle body off. That's a couple 8mm. Let's do that real fast. Never done this before, so we're kind of learning as we're going. If I show you where I struggle, you'll be able to kind of avoid that and know to take off the throttle body instead of fighting with this like some kind of moron.
I guess if you wanted to, you could. And we're just going to kind of gently lay this throttle body right there. And maybe what we'll do is just good thing they buried this right in the lowest part of the vehicle, you know. All right, this should help out now. All right, there you go. All right, she is, I want to say free. There she is. That's it. How hard? See? Piece of cake. Nothing to it. Let's set this bad boy aside. Okay, quick summary of intake manifold fun, the upper intake manifold fun. Things that held me up were this bracket right here. I removed the little hold down little Christmas tree thingy, no other word for it, I don't know. And then there was another one on the wire that was holding on this bundle of wire to the back of the manifold. Once you cut out the little hold downs and you remove these two 10mm bolts, and then, oh, the brake booster line too, I forgot about that. So everything that was on the passenger side hung me up because you had to clear the 4 bolt studs. You had to clear these. Yeah, you know, if you took these out, maybe that would be a little easier. There's 2 bolts up front that attach to the, I guess, the top of the head. Yeah, that might be a little easier. Maybe next time. You could do that. That might be. You can't get to the ones down here, but the ones for the front of the upper manifold, if you take these 2 bolts out and remove this whole bracket itself, it should like kind of pirouette out. So again, it got hung up a little bit, but if you're gentle and take your time, it should come out. So what we're left here now with is the lower manifold and a bunch of Torx that take this off, and you also have the fuel rail as well. What I plan to do, and I'm not a huge fan of taking fuel injectors out and all that stuff, we're just going to take this whole assembly and kind of lean it back, and I think that's the best way to go about doing that. So we'll take the fuel rail off with these Torx. No, let me adjust that. We're going to take this lower manifold off with the, okay. Next up will be the 8mm bolts holding down the lower intake manifold. And remember, don't go ape doo-doo over these. I mean, these are, you know, it's plastic. Foam little dealy here. Make sure we put that on. Okay, folks, that was not fun. I will be completely honest with you. So let me get you where I'm at. So these little clips that are on the fuel injectors, they're really difficult to come out, and maybe you can get the front one, but the ones in the back you can't get. The fuel rail, it's a V6, right? So you got 3-cylinder fuel rail. Yeah, 3 cylinders here, 3 cylinders here. 3 fuel injectors, you see 3 intake, 3 intake. So the only really easy, difficult way to do it is to remove the fuel rail. And it's actually a pretty good thing because these fuel injectors are pretty dirty, and I have them out. So it almost makes sense to just get a set of fuel injectors since you have the whole fuel system out. Again, a little bit more involved than I was hoping for, but there's really no good way to disconnect because the connectors are all brittle. I fought with it for like a half hour, literally, just trying to get these to unclip from the fuel body, from the lower intake. So I got gas everywhere. I mean, it's okay. I got the garage door open, but this is kind of the moment of truth, right? Oh, that's right, there's a plug back here. I don't know if I can get to that. Let's see. And that's zip tied too. Oh, great. Good old zip ties. All right, let's see what we got going on here. But that's it, folks. Not the, I say it now like that, so easy, but boy, you should have seen me before. That was not fun. All right, let me get that zip tie and I'll bring you back. There's the piece we're looking for. Man, this is dirty. Covered in oil and everything. All right. That sucked. So that's the piece we're looking for. So you can see here all the schlubs and grime and junk that's in there. Oh man, I'm gonna have to vacuum this out. Yeah, that's a lot of stuff in the intake. We got a label over here. Oh, caramba. What a nightmare, huh? Well, we'll go grab that. Definitely don't want that in your motor, but we'll just clean this out real fast, and I think that'll help us. But yeah, that's it. So let's clean her up, and then we'll remove this bad boy, this broken piece. Ah, what a piece of junk. I'm telling you. Ugh, brutal. Okay, now that the intake is off, just a little bit of brake clean on a blue shop rag. Clean off the mating surfaces. The kit that we have has new gaskets too. Obviously you don't want to reuse the same gaskets. Get this fuel injector out of the way. Keep track of those rubber O-rings, guys. You want to try to prevent as much junk going into the intake. I mean, a little bit was in there, but I mean, you know. All right, clean them up. Okay, here's the piece we've been after. So there's a couple inverted hex, I guess they're called E8s, that are holding this cooler filter housing down. And there's two plugs in the back, you can see there, and the actual coolant line, and that's just full of antifreeze. So there's some fancy pliers, and I'll show you what those pliers look like to get that clamp. But unbolt the cooler first, and that'll give you access to the plugs. I'm sorry, bad lighting. The plugs and everything else. That's it. And we'll just take these E8 bolts out. There's one there. One back here, kind of tough to see. Need my light. There's one up front. I think I got them all, I think. Nope, there must be one left. Okay, so from what I've seen, it does take a little bit of time to wiggle this out. I think what I'm going to do is maybe take those plugs off first. I don't know. Well, let's see how we deal with pulling it out. How much room is? Let's see. Yeah, that's oh good. Yeah, pull it out first, and then take the plugs out because there's a little bit of room. They have some excess wiring there, so you can kind of stretch it out and get better access to those plugs. So we're going ahead and just pull this out. All right, so I was able to pry this bad boy out with a little bit of elbow grease and some curse words, and we are good. So the last, oh, look at that valley in there. That's dirty, very dirty. That's all the leaking. Jeez. We'll just get a get this fancy clamp here. Man, look at this shit. Oh my God. And we'll pinch that off first because that's coolant in there. So let's go do that. Get one of these guys, clamp it off. That should prevent, you know, good chunk of, good bit of fluid from flowing back. You know, it does the job. Okay. Some people use pliers. I invested in these bad boys a long time ago, and boy, what a good investment. Ah, if I could just get it. It just locks into place. And then we'll just remove the... And there she is. What a disaster. Ah. Oh, just awful. All right, let's get this the hell out of here. Jesus. Oh, man, all that muck. Oh, why don't you just pour it into the intake more here, Joe? All right, let's get it out of here. Oh, I don't even know where to start. Okay. Bye-bye. Oi. All right, let's get some towels here and clean that up and bring it back. So right now what I'm doing is just cleaning out the fluid. It's like a mixture of oil and coolant and bad dreams and gunk and sewage. So I'm just cleaning the valley best I can. What a weird design, man. Give me a 4.0 any day. I mean, I love this Wrangler, but man, what a, I don't know. What a pain in the ass. I mean, it doesn't have to be perfect. Doesn't leak into the motor. It's just basically sits on top of the engine. You just kind of take this little towel and soak up the coolant / oil slick that's under there and just clean up the best you can. Because what happens is this thing fills with oil, and then once the oil gets hot, it starts spilling behind the top of the bell housing on the transmission, and then it goes down the back of your transmission. And that's why some people think it's a rear main seal, because that's usually where it presents. It's like kind of between the back of the motor and the bell housing, but it's definitely not that. It is all this nonsense. And it's, like I said, it's a slurry of coolant and oil, and it just gets everywhere. So you definitely want to make sure you cover the intakes. You do not want that shit in there. Oh, sorry. You do not want that stuff in there. We'll bleep that out. Clean the mating surfaces. Make sure any gaskets that were on there came off with the old part, and it appears that they did. So this looks pretty good in here. Yeah, coolant passage. Yep. All right, we're looking good. Yeah, neat. And here is the new piece. Aluminum. Has a couple O-rings, little mounting flanges and all that good stuff. That's the one that'll pretty much hold you up because it's down in the hole and it has that O-ring. So when you pull, you know, you might want to pull from the front, but that's all aluminum. Has the right plugs. And here's the, I don't want to tilt this too much. Here's the crap one. Yep, that's it. Crazy, right? That's it. Give me that aluminum one. We'll be good to go for hopefully the duration of the vehicle's life. That's it. That's the goal. All right, let's get this puppy seated. Now let's do this one first. All the way in. Bet you it's fun replacing this hose. Probably just jinxed myself. Whatever, it'll be fine. A little finagle action. It's a specific way it goes in, right? In between the intakes, and there we go. Oh, almost. Now, come on now. You just gotta watch the mating surfaces. Watch the aluminum. Alright. Okay, so just had a little let's just call it I had a little panic attack. That wasn't really a panic attack. It was a release of stress. It kind of wants similar to, this is probably the worst design motor I've ever seen in my life. Nothing beats the 4.0, and I'm done working on new junk. That's the G-rated version of what I did. X-rated version, R-rated version is far worse. I think my neighbors probably We're wondering what the heck's going on in the garage, but I finally got this thing finagled in. I'm never doing this job again, I'll tell you that much. So it's in. All we're going to do is just kind of connect those connectors, push this thing down in, and tighten the 8 bolts in a certain pattern. And what I'll do is I'll do snapshots of the, and I'll include them in the video. I'll do snapshots of the bolt pattern and the torque specs so you can see those. And it'll be in between each section, the oil cooler, the lower manifold, and the upper intake manifold. So I'm just fooling with this right now. And yeah, getting it in, and it was easy, no problems. Man, I was so mad. I was so mad, it's not even funny. I was so mad. But it's in, and I hate this thing. All right, I'll bring it. All right, she's all clicked in, and 1 connector, 2 connector, 3 connector, all bunched in, clicked in, everything's good, nice and tight. I always get so paranoid about the connectors. I mean, that's in there, right? It's in there, it's good. Yeah, she's all good. Okay, so the kit comes with nice new bolts. We'll throw them on there. It's cool. Just gonna drop them in one at a time. And these get torqued to 106 inch-pounds. 106 inch-pounds. Man, I'm still pissed. Oh my God, I'm still mad. Maybe Chevy. I should start doing Chevy stuff, maybe. I don't know. Jeeps are really just getting me. They're aging me. This new stuff is no good. Crazy. Crazy. Again, we're just going to tighten these by hand. So you don't want to use an impact. Don't want to use a wrench. Let's get these down nice and neat. Again, we're not torquing them yet. We're not twerking them yet. All right. Just want to hand tighten them. Again, all the connectors are connected. The coolant hose, the oil pressure sensor, and the oil temperature sensor. I don't know which one is which. One does one does the other. And the third thing is the coolant hose. All right, we'll start torquing them down. That's all she wrote. They're torqued down. Whew! I still hate you, Jeep. Nah, I still love you. Man, I'm still pissed at you. I'm so mad. So there was no way I was going to put the old greasy lower intake manifold on. So I got new Felpro gaskets for the intake, and the gaskets go on the bottom and on the top. Cleaned out the fuel injector holes because they were all grimy and stuff. Didn't really think that that would be a good idea to put dirty old injectors back in a dirty old hole and then wonder why it runs rough. So the injectors are good. Rarely do they ever fail. I don't know, I've never had a fuel injector fail on me. But no point in putting it in dirty. So we'll let this dry off a little more, and then we'll put the new gaskets on, and then I think we'll... Felpro MS 97204, upper intake manifold, whatever. Let's see, goes to, doesn't even tell you. Oh, here we go. Chrysler 3.8, I'm sorry, Chrysler 3.6 and 3.2. So that was the whole gasket set. The oil cooler, whatever, came with gaskets. I like using Felpro. They're probably the same darn thing, but this is what I'm using. So let's do these first. Bye. Got a text. I wonder from who. Install like this. There's no up or down. Just kind of goes in. $106 inch-pounds. I'm not doing that today. This thing done. Taking all my energy and interest for the evening. But I figured I can clean this up. Make it look nice, so we'll start off fresh tomorrow. Make sure none of them. Yeah, we're tight. Tight like a tiger. All right, we're done for the night. Catch y'all tomorrow. Good morning, folks. Well, it's another day, and I got a great idea last night. So you can see that all the ignition coils are exposed. What's under the ignition coils but spark plugs? So this thing has over 100,000 miles on it. So it's time to change the spark plug. So I went with the original Equipment Iridium Champion 9407. Pretty long little suckers, and that's the tip right there. I don't know what my other GoPro's doing. It's kind of freaking out. But that's it. So we're gonna go change those right now. So to take the ignition coil off, just a 10 millimeter. And I'm just gonna spare you the repetition. We'll just kind of do one here. All right, looks like that'll stay in there, and then we'll just kind of watch the fuel rail. You don't want to replace that. Just pull gently. There we go. Keep the bolt in there, and we'll get our 5/8 socket like a glove. Oh, and I bought new gloves at Harbor Freight this morning. All that oil, really, I don't like that. My hands are very dainty, and I don't like to get oil on my hands. The threads are super long, so be patient. I had to have a lot of patience with this Jeep. Man, give me a 4.0 any day. My God. Oh yeah, check it out. Compared to the new one, where's the new one? That's over there. But yeah, that's wow, that's pretty. I don't know what the part number is, but I guess it looks about the same. But it'd be nice to get all the junk out of it and make it all nice and clean. Yeah, let's put it in. You always want to match up the part numbers, make sure it's good. Parts numbers the same. Same dimension, same everything. And I'll just hand tighten it. Certainly don't want to cross the threads of the spark plug in the head. That would be very upsetting. Tighten it up, just enough to get it tight. And that's it. 5 more to go. Alright, so one final cleanup of the intake area. Just to make sure it's nice and clean. Next we're going to put the lower intake on. Get all the... Most of this junk that was falling down is this wire loom that's all dried out. So I wanted to make sure, we didn't get any in the intake. Okay, sports fans, here's where we're at. We'll start from the beginning. So everything's out, and we, excuse me, put in the new part. The hose is plugged in, the two rear plugs are plugged in, intakes are cleaned, got all the dust and dirt out and everything. This wire loom just cracks everywhere. All those bolts are tight. What we have remaining now are, and I did this last night, put the fuel injectors in and use a little Vaseline on both sides where the O-rings are, just to make sure they don't like kind of tear and they go in easy. We're going to install the lower intake manifold, and we'll put the fuel rail on, and then once that's on, it's just the upper manifold and wiggling that stupid thing back into place with all these brackets, and then pretty much done. The thing with this job is it's fairly straightforward, but this motor isn't engineered really well. Doing those spark plugs, 4 of them were pretty easy to get to, but the other 2 were, especially on this side, were buried back there, and they had things on top of them and brackets on top of them and hoses, and the battery box was leaning into it. Man, I mean, it took a little bit longer, but it's, if I had to summarize the problem with this motor, is everything's in the way and you can't move it. Like these, I mean, these are AC lines. They're not really that movable. So it's kind of a pain. Oh no, these are heater core lines. I'm sorry. AC lines over here. What am I talking about? Oh, okay. Anyway, so I learned something new. Yeah, everything's in the way. Everything is in the way. You have to move things, and things that aren't movable, you got to move around. So what a pain. I'll stop talking. Let's see if we can drop this puppy in. Again, we got all the gaskets in the back. All right, we got 6. They're all pressed in nice. You can see the fuel injectors. And we'll just gently place this bad boy into place. Watch the wiring harness. Oh, thank God, it's in there. Okay. All right, not bad. Dang, everything is in the way. Oh, give me a 4.0, please, God. Oh. And it takes an 8mm to cinch these down, so let's do that. Again, we're going to hand tighten them for now. Again, we're not torquing it yet. I'm just kind of cinching them down. And there's a torque pattern, and there's torque specs. The torque specifications on this, and again, I'll put a picture. Let's see. Just looking at the picture now. The lower manifold bolts are also torqued to 106 inch-pounds. (106 inch-pounds), and then the upper is 89 inch-pounds, and there's a certain sequence, so we'll follow that sequence. So let's get the torque wrench out, start torquing them down. First one we're going to do is, that's interesting. Okay, so I want this one torqued first. Alright, and then the second one is all the way back there by this blasted bracket. Oh, if I can get my Dremel in there, I swear I'd cut it off. Because all it does is it's a bracket to hold this plug in. Maybe you could put the plug somewhere else, Jeep. Whatever. There's 5. Seven is there. That's it. Torque down. As I suspected, the one way back there was a little crossways, so I just basically took the injectors out, unplugged them, and put them in the fuel rail, and then put the fuel rail with the injectors into the intake, so that seemed to be a little easier. Fuel rails installed. Next up, upper intake manifold, and we're running out of things to put on, guys. Pretty excited. Let's roll. Yay! And now the fun of getting the upper intake mounted. So the gaskets are on here, all cleaned up on the bottom here. All the surfaces are just cleaned off. And I believe what we'll have to do is put that side in first because of these studs, and then finagle this little bracket here, and then do a bunch of cursing and saying why do they design it this way, and all the heartache I usually have. But all these wires are, I mean, I got them moved around, so I should be okay. Should be. All right, let's get to getting. How many times have I said that in this video? God, you guys must be super, super done with this video, because I know I'm done with this project. All right. That's it? Okay. That was easy. It literally just fell into place. Something must be missing. It was that bracket, that piece of junk bracket that screwed me up the whole time. I gently finagled that out of my way, and that seemed to have helped out a lot. So, wow. Okay, that's that. Let me go. All right, so now I have all these cinched up, we'll start torquing them. And then we'll start putting, I can just zip tie all these hoses to get them out of my way. It was either that or set this thing on fire. Wanted to set it on fire, to be honest with you. Everything's in the way. Jesus, what a piece of garbage. There you go. Sandwiched in between this stupid bracket and the ignition coil. Couldn't think of any other place to put this, huh? Jeez, what a joke. Ridiculous. All right, torque sequence time coming up. I got the torque wrench set up to 89 inch-pounds, and we'll just start torquing it based on the specifications, which I believe. Seven bolts are all torqued. Again, you'll get a picture of the sequence. Now I'm just kind of fooling around, getting the final pieces done. Oh, the cool thing, this already came with a filter. I'm sure it's fine. I looked at it, looked just like the filter I bought. It was I think a STP filter. So came with the filter, came with the bolts. For $100, you kind of get a lot for your money. So alternator all pushed up and backwards. Oh, one of the things I did forget to say in the beginning is, good thing we're almost done the project, is always unplug your battery when you're doing stuff on your car, because you don't want any problems. All right, I'm just farting around now. Oh my God, I forgot the gaskets. What? No. I would just run it the way it is and leave it whistle. Going down the highway. Technically doesn't matter. Axle vent tube. That insulation is in, right? Yep. We're rounding the corner, folks. Should be ready to fire this up soon. Plug that in. I think that's the mass airflow sensor. And don't forget, we have the power brake booster. That's this line back here. Sorry about the lawnmower. All right. Let's double check, make sure I didn't miss anything. I think that's it. Yeah, I can't believe that's it. Done. Okay, so whenever I take off the fuel injection system or do any kind of big work, the last thing I want to do is start it inside my garage. So I pushed it out here and we're going to start it up and make sure it's all good. Yeah, buddy. Smooth as a baby's bottom. Oh yeah. With the leaks. Well, that's a wrap on this video, folks. Hope you enjoyed watching me struggle with getting those manifolds off and getting that oil filter housing, oil cooler out of that little valley. A lot of things I learned. I learned that I like the 4.0 motor way better than the 3.6 V6, but I knew that kind of going in. But that's okay. Once I kind of figured out the nuances of this new technology, I was able to quickly adapt and get us back running. So thing runs smooth. New spark plugs, 60 bucks. New oil cooler housing, $100, $160 for a $1,200 job. I'll take it every day. That was a huge success. So if you have any questions, leave them down in the comment box and I will get back to you. So hope you found this enjoyable, educational, laughable. I really hope it was more laughable than educational. So take care of yourselves, take care of Jeeps, and we'll catch you on the next video. Late.